My mother slapped me hard across the face. "Ungrateful child," she shouted. Dad nodded beside her. I stood still, opened my banking app, and said softly, "Then I guess you don't need my mortgage payments anymore." I'm Rachel Chen, 34, a software engineer living in Denver, Colorado. The sting on my cheek hurt less than the pain in my heart. For 12 years, I had been the quiet backbone of this family, secretly paying for the house they lived in, while they praised my younger brother Marcus as their golden boy. Tonight, at what was supposed to be a simple family dinner, everything finally came out. The evening had started like so many before it. Mom had called earlier that week, insisting I come for dinner. "Marcus has big news," she said, her voice full of excitement she never had for my achievements. I should have known better, but part of me still wanted their approval. I still hoped this time might be different. I arrived at our old two-story house in Lakewood, the Denver suburb where I grew up, the same house I'd been secretly paying for over 10 years. Mom greeted me with her usual half-hug, already glancing past me toward the driveway. "Is Marcus here yet?" she asked, not waiting for an answer as she went back to the kitchen. Dad sat in his recliner, eyes on the news. "Rachel," he said without looking up, "your brother got promoted to regional manager. Real success story, that one." His proud tone cut through me. Marcus sold cars and barely met his goals, but to them, he was a hero. Growing up here, I learned early that love wasn't equal. Marcus was born when I was 5, and from that day, he became their favorite. While I stayed up studying for exams, they cheered at his football games. When I got into MIT for computer science, they said, "Good job." When Marcus graduated high school with average grades, they threw him a huge party. "MIT is expensive," Dad had said when I showed him my acceptance letter. "State school is good enough." But when Marcus turned 18, they bought him a new truck for $25,000. I stopped expecting fairness and started depending on myself. I worked 3 jobs through college: coffee shop mornings, library nights, and weekend tutoring. My fingers were stained from espresso, and I survived on ramen and willpower. Meanwhile, Marcus jumped from job to job, and every failure was someone else's fault. "The manager didn't like him," Mom would say. "That company didn't see his potential." When I got my first software engineering job in downtown Denver, I thought things might change. My salary was more than both my parents' incomes combined. But instead, it made the gap bigger. "Must be nice sitting at a computer all day," Dad would say. "Real work is done with your hands." This came from a man who'd been jobless most of my childhood. I found out the truth about their finances when I was 22. I came home for Thanksgiving and saw a foreclosure notice behind the flower jar. They were 6 months behind on payments. Dad had lost another job, and Mom's hours were cut. But instead of asking me for help, they were going to ask Marcus to move home to help with bills. That night, I called the mortgage company, paid what they owed, and set up automatic payments from my account. I told myself it was just until they got back on their feet. But they never did. Marcus moved home anyway, lived rent-free, ate their food, and contributed nothing while I quietly paid every month. When he wrecked his truck drunk, they bailed him out. When he started another business, they gave him their savings. I kept paying the mortgage, hoping one day they'd finally see me. 3 months ago, everything changed. I got promoted to senior software architect, a dream I'd worked toward for years. My salary rose to $200,000, and I finally saved enough to buy my own condo in Cherry Creek, with mountain views and space for my life. I made the mistake of telling them. "A condo?" Mom scoffed. "That's wasting money. You should help Marcus get his real estate license." That casual dismissal broke something inside me. But I kept paying their mortgage, even when I bought my own home, even as they bragged on Facebook about their smart financial planning and vacations to Florida. Even as Marcus lost job after job and came back to live with them again. Tonight's dinner was supposed to celebrate Marcus' promotion. Mom made his favorite pot roast, the one she never made for me. The table was set with fine dishes, and Dad opened wine. Marcus arrived late, sunglasses on his head like a celebrity. "There's our success story," Dad boomed. "Regional manager at 31. Marcus started bragging about crushing sales and teaching college boys how to sell. Mom looked at him like he hung the moon. "Rachel got promoted too," I said quietly. Senior software architect. I lead a team of 12 now. Silence for 2 seconds. Then Mom waved her hand. That's nice, dear. Marcus, tell us about your company car. I should have left, but I stayed. I listened as they planned to help Marcus get a loan for his new apartment. We could refinance the house, Mom said. Use some equity for him. The house you almost lost to foreclosure, I said before I could stop myself. Dad's face turned red. That was years ago. We've paid perfectly since then. You've never paid, I said. Not once in 12 years. The room froze. Marcus frowned. Mom's voice sharpened. What are you talking about? I opened my banking app. November 2012 to October 2024, 144 payments, $1,800 each month, $259,000 total. I turned the phone toward them. Dad stood up, angry. You're lying. We paid our mortgage. With what money? I said. Your unemployment, Mom's part-time job, or the money you gave Marcus for his failed businesses? Marcus blinked. Wait, you paid their mortgage? Someone had to, I said. While you lived here rent-free, wrecked cars, and got bailed out, I was keeping the house standing. Mom's face turned pale. You should have told us. Would it have mattered? I asked. Would you have seen me then? Would you have come to my graduation, or celebrated my promotions? Would you have cooked my favorite dinner even once? You had no right, Dad shouted. Sneaking around, making choices about our lives. I had no right. I had no right to stop you from being homeless. I had no right to make sure my parents had a home while they gave everything to their failed son. That's when it happened. Mom stood up, crossed the room in 3 quick steps, and slapped me hard across the face. The sound filled the dining room, loud and final. Ungrateful brat, she yelled. After everything we've done for you. Dad nodded, his jaw tight. We gave you life, we raised you, and this is how you thank us? By holding money over us. The sting on my cheek burned hot, but I didn't cry. Instead, I felt something else, clarity, pure and complete. I steadied myself, opened my banking app again, and said softly, then I guess you won't need my mortgage payments anymore. My fingers moved on the screen, canceling the automatic payment that had been active for 12 years. Done. The next payment was due November 1st, 5 days away. Marcus laughed nervously. Come on, Rachel. You're not serious. $1,800, I continued calmly. Plus the 3 months you're already behind because I've been slowly stopping payments to see if you'd notice. So actually, you'll need $7,200 by Friday, or the bank starts foreclosure. The truth was, I had been preparing for this moment for months. After my promotion, I began freeing myself from their financial mess. I had paid ahead just enough to buy this time, this choice. Mom's hand was still frozen midair. You can't do this. I just did, I said, grabbing my purse, moving calmly even though my heart raced. You want to know the sad part? I would have kept paying forever if you had just once, shown me the same love you show Marcus. A birthday dinner, a proud Facebook post, anything. Dad found his voice. Get out. Get out of our house. Your house. I laughed bitterly. Check the county records, Dad. I'm listed as co-owner. Have been since I took over the payments. My lawyer made sure of it. So technically, you need to get out of my house. Their faces went pale. Marcus sank in his chair, finally realizing his free ride was over. I won't kick you out, I said, walking toward the door. I'm not cruel like you, but you'll have to figure out the payments. Maybe Marcus can help with that regional manager salary. What is it, Marcus? $40,000 before taxes. He didn't answer. We all knew it was less than what I paid yearly for the mortgage. At the door, I looked back one last time. You know what the saddest part is? I'm worth $3 million. Stocks, savings, investments. I could have paid off this house 10 times over. I would have too, if you had ever just seen me. Mom sat down, her anger fading into something else. Fear or maybe realization. "Rachel, wait," she started. 12 years, 12 years, I cut in. 12 years of therapy to fix the pain of being invisible. 12 years of building my own family, friends who cheer for me, who care when I fail. 12 years proving I deserve love, even if you never gave it. I left them there, in their fancy dining room, with Marcus' celebration dinner going cold. My phone started buzzing before I even reached my car. Their calls, their texts, panic. I blocked them one by one. Mom, Dad, Marcus. The next morning, I filed papers to remove my name from the mortgage completely. My lawyer warned I'd lose nearly $200,000 in home equity. I didn't care. Freedom was worth more than money. 3 days later, Aunt Linda called. She was Dad's sister, but she'd always been kind to me. "They're in panic mode," she said. "Called asking to borrow money. Said you abandoned them." "I paid their mortgage for 12 years, Aunt Linda." "I know, sweetheart. They told me everything, hoping I'd take their side." She paused. "I told them they got what they deserved." By then, the foreclosure notices had likely started. Marcus went online posting about family betrayal and ungrateful sisters, but no one who knew the truth believed him. Mom tried reaching out through a cousin, saying they wanted to make peace, but really, they just wanted money. 6 weeks later, I drove past the house. A "for sale by bank" sign stood in the yard. They had lasted longer than I expected, probably borrowing from everyone they knew. But Marcus' paycheck couldn't cover the mortgage, and their credit was too ruined to refinance. Aunt Linda later told me they'd moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment in Aurora. Marcus still lived with them. He'd lost his regional manager job after missing too many days trying to save the house. The irony wasn't lost on me. The golden boy who never faced consequences finally had to. My new condo in Cherry Creek was everything I dreamed of. Tall windows showing the mountains, a home office for my work, and a spare room I turned into a library. My friends came over for dinner parties where everyone's achievements were celebrated. Sarah, my friend who was also a software engineer, understood my long work nights. My neighbor Tom, a contractor, helped me hang shelves and never once said my job wasn't real work. I started dating James, a financial analyst who was also the black sheep in his family. He knew what it felt like to be unseen. On our 3rd date, I told him everything about paying my parents' mortgage. He didn't judge. He just held my hand and said, "You gave them 12 years of chances. That's more than they deserved." 6 months later, Mom showed up at my office. She looked older, worn out. Security called up to ask if I wanted to see her. I agreed, meeting her in the lobby but keeping my distance. "Please," she said, crying. "I need to explain." "There's nothing to explain," I said. "You showed me my place in your life, and I finally believed you." "We lost everything," she sobbed. "No, Mom," I said quietly. "You lost a house you couldn't afford and a daughter who stopped begging for scraps of affection. I lost nothing I hadn't already grieved." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Rachel, you're my daughter. Biologically, yes. But real family doesn't keep scorecards. Real family doesn't slap you for telling the truth." I walked away, leaving her in the lobby. Her cries echoed behind me. The security guard, who had heard everything, gave me a respectful nod as I passed. That night, I sat in my condo, the city lights glowing below, the mountains dark against the stars. James brought takeout, and we watched a documentary about space. He didn't ask what happened. He knew I'd share when I was ready. That's what real support looks like. Patient, present, without conditions. My phone sat silent on the counter. No more panic calls, no more guilt, no more being invisible. The price of their mortgage had bought me something priceless, freedom from the need for their approval. 2 years have passed since that dinner. The house was sold in foreclosure for much less than what I had paid into it. Mom and Dad still live in that apartment with Marcus, who now works at another dealership, still chasing success that easy praise never prepared him for. They've become a warning story in our extended family, the parents who lost a successful daughter because they couldn't see beyond their favorite child. Aunt Linda says they've changed the story, telling everyone that I abandoned them without reason, that I was always difficult and jealous of Marcus. But she also says no one believes them anymore. Too many relatives have seen the bank records I showed, 12 years of payments with my name on them. I've built something they never could have given me, a life where I am valued. My team at work respects me. My friends celebrate my successes. James and I got engaged last month, and his family welcomed me like I'd always been part of them. His mother called me brilliant, successful, and kind, words my own mother never said. The engagement ring on my finger shines as I type this, reminding me that love should never make you feel small. James proposed during a hike in Rocky Mountain National Park. Just the two of us and the mountains. No family drama, no sibling comparisons, only two people choosing each other completely. We're planning a small wedding. My side will be filled with my chosen family. Sarah, my co-worker turned best friend. Tom, my neighbor who's become like a brother. Aunt Linda, who saw the truth when others wouldn't. My mentor from work who guided me when my parents didn't care to. I didn't invite my parents or Marcus. That door closed the moment Mom's hand hit my face, when Dad silently agreed, when 12 years of sacrifice meant nothing because it came from the wrong child. Some bridges, once burned, light the way forward instead of back. Sometimes I drive past that house in Lakewood. The new owners have painted it blue, added a garden, and filled it with new dreams. I don't feel sad or nostalgic. I feel nothing, and that peace is its own kind of healing. The $1,800 a month I once paid for their mortgage now goes into a college fund for my friend Sarah's daughter, a smart girl who loves coding. I'm teaching her Python on weekends, watching her eyes shine when her code works. This is what real family support looks like, helping someone grow, celebrating their progress, investing in their dreams. My therapist says I've rewritten my family story, choosing connection over blood, respect over duty. The slap that was meant to shame me became the moment I chose myself. The parents who called me ungrateful gave me freedom from their judgment. I still have the banking app on my phone, with 12 years of payments saved in a folder called Lessons. Sometimes I look at it, adding up not just the money but the weight I carried. $259,000. But the real cost was much higher. Years of feeling unseen, worthless, and never enough. Now, when young women at work talk to me about unfair family expectations, I tell them this: your worth isn't measured by your family's ability to see it. Love shouldn't require you to disappear so others can shine. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to stop paying for their approval. The mortgage is paid off now, not by me, but by the bank that took it after foreclosure. The new family living there doesn't know its history, the daughter who kept it standing while being treated like she didn't exist. But that's okay. It's their home now, their chance to create better memories. My home is here in Cherry Creek with James and our two cats, surrounded by friends who become family, a career that fulfills me, and a life I've built on my own terms. The view from my window shows the Denver skyline and the mountains beyond, a daily reminder that there's always something bigger than the small world my parents made. Last week, I got an email from Marcus. He made a new account to get past my blocks. He said he was sorry. He said he finally understood what I had done for them and how blind they had been. He asked if we could start over and build a real sibling bond. I thought about it for a long time. Then I replied with one line: starting over requires ending what came before, and that ended with a slap. He didn't reply. I didn't expect him to. This is my story. Not one of revenge, but one of realization, realizing that I deserved better. Realizing that their love had conditions. Realizing that the price of their mortgage was nothing compared to the cost of their conditional love. To anyone reading this who sees themselves in my story, who keeps giving while being told they're never enough, know this: you are enough. You've always been enough. Their blindness doesn't take away your worth. Stop paying for love that should be free. Stop shrinking so others can feel big. Stop being thankful for scraps when you deserve the feast. The mortgage is done. The payments have ended. And for the first time in my life, I'm living rent-free in my own heart, no longer paying for space in theirs. That slap echoed through generations in our family, the sound of favoritism finally meeting its end. But in my new life, with my chosen family, there are no echoes of hurt or favoritism, only love freely given and received. No payment required.